Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down an expert-backed roadmap for learning Mandarin Chinese right from square one. This is especially for you if you've ever looked at the language and just felt completely overwhelmed, not knowing where to even begin.
So let's just dive right in with the big question on pretty much everyone's mind. Is Chinese really as impossibly hard to learn as people say it is?
Well, the answer might actually surprise you, because the thing that makes most people give up isn't what you'd probably guess.
And here's the absolute core of the problem. It turns out most people don't quit because the language itself is too difficult. They quit because they are just drowning in a sea of confusing, conflicting advice, and they literally have no idea where to start.
Think about it. Should you use flashcards? Find a tutor right away. Try watching TV shows. That constant questioning and second-guessing yourself, it's exhausting. And that feeling, that decision fatigue, is the #1 reason learners throw in the towel. So, to beat that feeling of being overwhelmed, you need a plan. You need a clear, predictable framework that's built on 3 really simple, fundamental principles.
And here they are: structure, methodology, and consistency. If you get these 3 things right, fluency stops being some far-off dream, and it actually becomes a predictable outcome. Okay, so that's the big picture. Let's get practical. How do these pillars actually translate into a step-by-step plan you can start using today? Here's your game plan for your first month. On day 1, before you try to memorize a single word, you need to understand how the language sounds. And here's the key: spend just a few hours on this. Get the basics of pinyin and the tones down, and then move on. Don't get stuck here for weeks trying to perfect it.
Now, for the rest of that first month, this chart is your guide. It's simple. About 70 to 80% of your study time is dedicated to building vocabulary. The rest? Just listening practice. That's it.
So you might be wondering, hold on, why so much focus on characters and words right from the get-go? Shouldn't I be drilling grammar or trying to speak? That's a fantastic question. And here's why. Without knowing the characters, Chinese is basically a nightmare of homophones, words that sound the same but mean totally different things. I mean, just take the sound sh. It could mean to be, matter, city, room, literally dozens of things. The characters are what give you the clarity. Now here's the really great news. You can totally skip writing characters out 1,000 times. There are modern memory techniques like this Hansa-movie method that are way more effective. You basically turn your mind into a little movie set, placing memorable images for each part of a character, which helps you lock in its sound, tone, and meaning in just seconds.
And for actual words, which are usually just combos of characters, you can use a similar trick. It's about creating a quick, maybe even absurd, visual story in your head that connects the pieces. For example, if a word is made from the characters for fire and mountain, what do you picture? A volcano, right? It just makes the word stick.
Okay, this is crucial. What you don't do is just as important as what you do, so please avoid these common traps in your first 30 days. Don't get bogged down in grammar rules. Don't try to learn from advanced TV shows. Your brain just isn't ready. And honestly, save your money on a tutor, at least for now, until you have a solid foundation.
All right, so let's say you've built up that foundation. You'll probably hit a really common roadblock. You start to realize you can understand a lot more Chinese than you can actually speak.
This happens to everyone. And it's because understanding and speaking are 2 completely different skills. Recognizing a word is passive knowledge, but actually producing it yourself, pulling it out of thin air, is an active skill. The goal is to close that gap. So how do we close it? The solution is a technique called activation, and it's all about something called retrieval practice. It just means actively forcing your brain to recall and produce the language, not just recognize it.
And the best part is, you can do this all by yourself. Try flipping your flashcards so you have to go from English to Chinese. Practice with an AI chatbot. Or, and this is a game changer, just talk to yourself in Chinese. Narrate your day. It might feel a little silly at first, but you're building that production muscle.
Okay, let's talk about the end goal here. We've laid out the road, but what's the actual destination? What does it really mean to be fluent? Your first huge milestone is this number, 1,000. Once you learn the 1,000 most common words, you'll suddenly be able to understand about 80% of daily conversational Mandarin. This is where the language really starts to open up. It's also really important to know the difference between fluency and proficiency. Fluency is your first goal. It means speaking comfortably and naturally. Proficiency is more like academic or professional mastery. That's a much longer-term ambition. Aim for fluency first. So really, the most effective strategy, the main takeaway, is to go deep,
not broad. It's so much better to master a core vocabulary of 2,000 to 3,000 common words than to have a weak, surface-level knowledge of 10,000.
And that's it. That's the roadmap. No more confusion, no more decision fatigue. You have a clear, step-by-step path to follow. So the real question is, are you ready to take that first step?